The bill that went through Parliament yesterday by a very, very small majority, 289 to 230 votes, that's a not very impressive scale of 59 votes to stop the boats. And there were issues during the debate. There were three big issues brought up. The first was of child detention, and a new timescale was promised, which meant that Tim Lawton, he was the person who questioned Suella Braverman, if you remember, about what would a potential migrant do if he wanted to come from an unnamed African country and there was no safe and legal route. And Suella Braverman conceded on the 22nd of November last year that going across the channel and then claiming asylum on this side was the only way forward. Anyway, Tim Lawton withheld his amendment. The second point was Sir Geoffrey Cox, who is a lawyer, and he said that ministers were giving MPs, quote, legislative sanction for the possibility that the Minister of the Crown would deliberately disobey the international law obligations of this country. Quite a serious challenge, and that's all about ignoring the rulings of the European Court of Human Rights. Very significant. And thirdly was the thing that seems to have taken up most of the time, which was Theresa May led a line about modern slavery. She said that the bill was a slap in the face for those of us who actually care about modern slavery. The government will ensure that more people will therefore now stay enslaved. She was aided by Ian Duncan Smith, who talked about the unintended consequences of this bill for modern slavery. And Jenrick, the junior minister, tried to argue that Rwanda was a safe place for victims of modern slavery. Mrs. May looked physically sick. It was agreed by the end of the session that Ian Duncan Smith and Mrs. May will work with Jenrick on this issue. The problem lies in the Nigel Farage-dominated narrative of small boats, which Rishi Sunak effectively has validated with his fifth priority. So the problem really will emerge if Farage moves into leading the new Reform Party, which is a very real possibility, because Anne Widdecombe, its other big gun, cannot possibly lead the party because she cannot abide the possibility of promoting proportional representation as one of the key features of the Reform Party agenda. So it has to be Nigel Farage when he decides to quit news reading and go back to the political stage. One solution, I'm afraid, which is looking increasingly likely, is that leaving the European Court of Human Rights becomes a feature of the next Conservative Party manifesto, or perhaps the one after that when the Conservative Party is in opposition. It's not at all good. It's not at all good. And this obsession with small boats and with our response to them